Okay, this is episode 1 of Edit an AI Story. So, I obviously can't show you guys when I'm editing author stories from human beings because I don't want to share their work before they're ready. But I thought, what if I asked AI to write a story for me and then I can show you my editing process and also kind of poke fun at AI a little bit. So don't worry if you're an actual human being author, I would never make fun of your work. But in this case, with AI trying to take our jobs, I think it's okay. So my daughter actually came up with this prompt of how to write a 1,000 word story about Benjamin Franklin as an assassin. They called it The Quiet Assassin. That title needs work. I'm pretty sure there's already a book or a show or a movie called The Quiet Assassin. So that's the first thing I would say is rework the title. Let's come up with something more original. Yep, and I would just leave a little comment like that. Okay, so this starts out in the dim light of his study. Benjamin Franklin sat hunched over a wooden desk cluttered with letters and scientific instruments. It's a little on brand. Not a very exciting opening. He's in his study by himself. I would put him in the middle of some sort of action. I am a big fan of stories that really drop the reader right into the middle of the action or of an intense or crucial moment. So for this, I would say drop the reader into the action of the story here. Grab attention from the beginning. Yeah, and now we're moving on. His quill danced over parchment. That's kind of lovely. So I'll give AI that. Let's see, let's go further down here. Immersed in a world far more dangerous than the world of inventions and diplomacy. Again, show us the danger. I'll remember how to work this. Hold on. I would say show the danger instead of telling here. So again, if you drop him right in the middle of a dangerous situation at the top of the story, the reader will already feel the stakes without you having to say, this is dangerous. So I looked this up, and there was actually a British soldier or commander, I guess, named General Clinton. So that was right. And if you want to read this on your own, you can pause the video. Enemies lurking in the shadows. It's a little trite. I think there's a better way to word that. I'll just say it's a bit trite. It's AI, it's not a human, so I don't have to be kinder. Okay, so then we go on to beneath his public persona statement. Okay, let's see. Tonight's mission was to be one of the most perilous he'd ever undertaken. His target. Okay, the plan was meticulous. I seriously doubt that a commander in an army in the middle of a war would just be taking a solitary evening walk by himself. Yeah, of course he would get his head blown off immediately. He's a commander in a war, and people are looking to kill him everywhere he goes. So, yeah, maybe that's because AI doesn't understand war, possibly, probably. Anyway, it was during these walks. He'd studied his route, learned timing, all of that should go. Franklin dressed in dark, inconspicuous clothing, carefully concealing his weapons. That's stating the obvious. I would hope so. I hope he wasn't running around, screaming his head off, brandishing knives. out in the open for everyone to see. Okay, finally honed blade. I don't know if that works for me. Crafted to be both deadly and silent. Are blades loud? Aren't all blades silent? Okay, strapped to his side, he carried with him a small vial of poison. So, further down, you'll see there. Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to the vial of poison, so stay tuned. Okay, as the night deepened, Franklin made his way through the shadowy streets of New York. Later, they say he's in Philadelphia, so I would say, pick a state, you. Or maybe the colony, I don't know. No, they say later he's in Philadelphia, so that doesn't make sense. Let's see. The city's usual sounds of revelry and chatter have been replaced by almost eerie silence. But why? Why eerie silence? Eerie silence. Isn't there a war going on? Explain this. Okay. Franklin approached the general's quarters, a grandiose house on the edge of the city. Would make him a very easy target. Okay. He slipped into the garden, avoiding the patrolling guards, with the skill of a man who had long practiced stealth. Well, that certainly could be worded better. Try harder. Again, I would not say this to my human being authors, but it's AI, so it's fine. The garden was quiet, save for the rustling leaves and the gentle breeze. Again, weird that it's all quiet when so much is happening. He waited, considered the gravity of his tasks. His thoughts, finally we see that he's not all by himself. He's not alone. This is the first time we see any relationships, the main character having any ties to any other human beings except the one he wants to murder. Yeah, so I would say establish relationships and stakes earlier. Also, some world building would help you remember what city he's in. Okay, let's move on. So, finally, the sound of footsteps reached his ears. His heart quickened as he saw Sir Henry Clinton emerge from the house. His mind preoccupied, Franklin's instincts took over, moving with the precision of a man who had studied both science and human nature. He positioned himself in the path of the general. The darkness enveloped him, making him nearly invisible. Again, say this better. Write this better, not say. Write this better. Yeah, a little overused. Okay, so as Clinton approached, Franklin drew his blade, its edge catching a sliver of moonlight. Okay, all right, I like that visualization. He moved swiftly, stepping from the shadows with practiced silence. The general was almost upon him when Franklin struck, the blade finding its mark with lethal accuracy. What was the mark? Where did the blade go? Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like finding its mark is a little vague. Okay, Clinton gasped. His hand instinctively reached for the wound. Franklin, a ghost in the night, moved quickly to avoid any commotion. He slipped the vial of poison into Clinton's hand, ensuring that even if the blade did not do its work completely, the poison would seal the general's fate. So, why would the general poison himself? Or commander? What is he, general or commander? Anyway, poison himself. That the poison thing's a little weird when he already stabbed him with the blade and then gave him the poison to finish the job for him. I mean, I don't know if I would pay a hitman if he let his victims finish themselves off. Anyway, the deed was done. Franklin watched. Again, there's a lot of silence going on. The man who had been such a formidable adversary, clearly not. He has made himself a walking target in this war. So I don't know how formidable this man is, but anyway, a lot of talk about shadows, overuse of the word, come up with some original descriptions. Yeah, you can use metaphors for shadow. You can, I don't know, an ink blot on a black velvet painting. That's terrible. It's a terrible pitch. Don't do that. But I'm just saying, there's other ways to say that. Anyway, back in his study, Franklin washed the blood from his hands and set about the grim task of covering his tracks. His work was far from over. The assassination of Sir Henry Clinton would shake the British command, but it was only one piece of the larger puzzle. Franklin knew that every action had consequences. Well, I hope the man who put a key on a kite string understood that that would have consequences. So, stating the obvious again, as dawn broke over Philadelphia, so I told you I thought this was set in New York. Yeah, obviously a human writer wouldn't make that mistake. To the world, he was the great inventor and diplomat, working tirelessly for the cause of American independence. But in the quiet moments, there's so much quiet and silence happening. Give me some loud moments. When the world was still, he reflected on the darker side of his contributions, his sacrifices, decisions. Each one weighed heavily on him. Why? He's not connected to anyone else in this story. So what exactly is he sacrificing? Who of those he loves or admires would be harmed by his choices? Create some tension for him. And yeah, that's what I would say. Okay, let's see. Yet, as he looked over the city, he found solace in the knowledge that his actions, however covert, were part of greatest struggle for freedom. Benjamin Franklin, the assassin, it's so funny, had played his part in the fight for independence in the shadows and again with the shadows. Okay, AI, what are you trying to tell us with all this shadow talk? No more shadows. Shadow talk. Okay. In the light, his legacy would endure, a testament to the lengths one man could go to shape the course of history. Yeah, so this is just a rough on-the-spot editing round, developmental edits. I obviously would go through this for a human client. I would go through this with greater detail, with line edits, with suggestions for how they could make the story better, just beyond what I wrote here. But I thought, yeah, why not poke fun at AI a little bit and have some fun with it? So if you like this, I hope you follow along, and I will see you next time.